Stop fighting for your limitations and stop limiting yourself. This is today's topic, but first things first, my name is Lydia. I'm a life and mindset coach for successful entrepreneurs and C-suite leaders. And here on the channel, I talk about all things mindset, manifestation, business growth, business strategy, and psychology. I think that's it. Yes. And today's topic is inspired by me labeling myself as a highly sensitive entrepreneur since 8 years, I think by now. And I came across a group today on Facebook that I'm a part of, but I saw a few comments of people there, a few posts where people were talking about all the things that are happening for them, all the things that are difficult for them because they are highly sensitive. And there is so much at the moment going on as well with like being neurodivergent, about, the past, what happened to you, and being, being very introverted, being very shy, and that means you can only do business a certain way. So we are almost in the era of labeling ourselves. And there is a time for it. There is a time for it just in order to understand a few things that are going on with you. But beyond that, I'm not a fan of it. And you do whatever is important for you. You do whatever you want. If you're listening to my channel here and you really like the teachings I'm bringing here to you, then you will understand where I'm coming from. So the thing is, when people label themselves, for example, as a highly sensitive person, they usually do that. Like most of the people out there usually do it from a place of limiting themselves. It's almost like, this is me, and this is why I can't do certain things or why things happen to me. The same with being an empath, like all the empaths that are having issues with narcissists out there, yes, you can label yourself as an empath, you can label yourself as a highly sensitive person, as ADHD, as whatever, but most people use it in order to be a victim to who they are. They are using it as something to limit themselves. I am that, and this means I cannot have that. I am that, this is why I have problems in today's society. You can do that. Feel free. It just means you're making your life so much more harder and so much more difficult. And if you don't want that anymore, I want to give you that message today. Stop limiting yourself. And you can actually change all the diagnoses out there, everything you label yourself at the moment, you can change. One of the people I follow, he just released a message. He had been struggling with OCD for properly diagnosed for the past 30 years, from childhood on, from 5 years on. Everything horrible. When not just, I wash my hands once or twice a day. No, but proper. He made the decision, this is not me anymore. I am changing that. And from one day to the other, his life changed and he's free of that. Even though people say you cannot free yourself of OCD. It's a life sentence almost. So, and I've seen so many other people, all the diagnoses about even stage 4 cancer, all of that. And by the way, I'm not a doctor. You know my disclaimer here. Read it and take everything I say from that perspective. It's my opinion. It's my experiences. And it's what I work on, what I help my clients with, and they just change their freaking lives. They let go of, limiting stories of the past decades, and it's just a different life. So I come from that perspective of making your life easier and more joyful and more beautiful. And for that, you will have to let go of these self-imposing limits. You will have to go of these stories that come from a place of being a victim to whatever is happening around you, to circumstances, and understanding fully that you are the creator of your life. You're the creator of your circumstances even. You can choose differently now. Because when you step into radical self-responsibility, that doesn't just mean that I'm taking responsibility for everything that happens and almost like I'm the bad person now. No, it means I take full power back. If I say I make the rules, I choose differently now, that means I step into absolute personal power and I can change anything and everything for me. So I would always take that power over being a victim to something else. Like if I'm a victim of being highly sensitive and I'm suffering because all the people out there are not sensitive back and they hurt me, I will live a life with that label. Okay, I can do that. And I will suffer because of that. Because that's my point of view. That's my perspective. And I chose early on to not do that anymore. And by the way, you can keep the good stuff. I am keeping the good stuff of being highly sensitive. So it was basically created in my childhood because I had a very chaotic upbringing and I was in high alert mode all the time. I was like being aware of everything. So my smell is better, my eyesight is better, I hear better. I feel emotions, I feel atmosphere, I feel danger, I feel good stuff, like all of that. I can feel a lot, like being an empath, more than the average. Most people use this then to say like, it's so difficult for me in life. And no, I don't. I keep the good stuff. I love that I can smell good things. There's a lot of bad stuff as well, but I can work on not smelling that so much anymore. I just feel a little bit like a superhuman. I celebrate that. I love that. It's amazing. I can read people. I can read situations. I can read that's also why I'm good at my job, obviously, like why I work as a coach. I'm like almost like a detective. I can see things, like in a different light with in a faster way, like bam, bam, bam. And I love that. I love that. And I now choose this as a superpower and I won't get rid of that. But if I had negative traits associated with that, for example, what I just said, when you live in civilization, there is a lot of crappy not thoughts as well, crappy smells out there. Like everywhere around humans, it's a lot of like yuck. And this was always like really a big downside of having a good like smell system or whatever you call that in English. What's the name? Whatever. And I could change that. I could now choose to say, hey, I always encounter amazing smells and not so many bad smells anymore. I could do that. So good point. I can work on that whenever I want to do that. But also when it comes to being an empath, I can say I can feel people. I use this for my business. I use this for my relationships everywhere. It's just, but I stay in my power. What most highly sensitive people do is they say, I can feel everything and people are mean to me. People use that to their advantage and they take like my energy or stuff like that. No. Start telling a different story. Start telling the story of like, yes, I can feel people. I can feel everything that goes on. And I have the fucking best boundaries on the planet. I'm not giving my energy away to other people anymore. I can feel when someone is taking my energy and I don't let them. So tell a different story. Make it work for you. The same with all the other labels that are out there. Make them work for you. And if you say, that's not me anymore, I don't want any of that, just drop the story altogether and say it's different now. As I said, I have clients who have overcome crazy stories, crazy things, even when it comes to their bodies. And I'm not going to talk about that today, but there are like physical health stories where people have overcome like suffering of the past decades and it's just gone with one decision. So it is possible. It's just, what do you think is possible for you? Most people who are rooting for their limitations, it's an addiction. They don't want to let go. They are fighting for their limitations. It's like, this is me. I'm HSP. I'm highly sensitive. I'm an empath. I am struggling because of that. And you can tell them like, no, you can choose differently. You can make this into the best story of your life if you want to. They don't want to give in. They want to keep their struggle. They want to keep their disease. They want to keep their dis-ease. They want to keep their difficult circumstances because it's part of their identity. They have made it into their identity. I'm a victim. I spoke in the last video about your past doesn't define you and that many people look at their past and they are still being the victim of their past. And they keep reliving the same scenarios or similar scenarios as if they were still living in that old story, even though they are not anymore. So people are addicted to that. People are addicted to their old stories and it has become their identity. My identity could be, I'm an HSP and everything that happens around me is just too much. It's overwhelming. And that was part of my story for a short time until I said like, fuck this, I don't want this. I don't want a life like this. No, I am telling a different story about that now. I make it into my superpower and all the shit I don't like about it, I drop it. And it's absolutely possible. For me, it wasn't a one-day thing. It actually took a bit longer. And sometimes still like things show up that I want to change, that I wasn't aware of. where I see my old childhood programming coming through, and I do inner child work with that. Like I take care of that inner part of me, that inner child of me. I do emotional release. I made a video about somatic movement. So I do different techniques that help me in that moment, and because I enjoy it, and because for me it's a process and it's not a one-day thing. But you could make it into a one-day thing. You could decide now, drop it now, and never experience anything like that ever again from the bad stuff. You could. It's up to you how you process things, how you want to process things. It's all up to you. But back to being a victim. You don't have to be a victim to your diagnosis. Like, stop fighting for that. And of course, if you want to keep fighting, this is not the video for you. My channel is not for you, because I work with people who want to make the impossible possible, who want to let go of diseases, of like struggles, of labels that are not serving them, that are keeping them in victim mode. They want to let go of that, and they want to not fight for it anymore. Like, my life is so bad because this is me. My life is so bad because I have XYZ. No, you can drop that now, right here. You can drop that and tell a different story. It is so possible, because my clients who have experienced the shittiest childhoods ever, where it's a wonder that some of them are still alive, they do it all the time. And they live the best lives ever. But it can be addictive, as I said. Like, struggling can be addictive, and the identity, the whole identity around struggle can be addictive. And it's so interesting that people, I even have friends where it happens like that, they have an identity of struggle. And I had for such a long time as well an identity of struggle. So even if good things happened, it was almost like waiting for the next stone to drop, waiting for the next issue to show up. And guess what? It showed up because it was still their identity. You know, they had all the amazing things happening in their lives, but they were focused on struggle, and something happened again and again and again. And when you talked about it with them and said like, hey, drop the struggle, like, let's talk about this, you can create this differently, they fought for the struggle. It was, this is my life, this is me, this, like, they didn't say that, but you could feel that. This is my identity. And yes, you can work on that. You can change people around you. And I'm doing that at the moment, that I'm changing identity of some of my friends, or, you know, like how I see some of the things happening in my life, because I have gotten rid of a lot of struggle in my own life. My life is like, it's very limited when it comes to struggle. So that's a good way to see things. And if a lot of my friends struggle, you know, like, I'm changing that as well. So even that can be changed. But for now, understand that if you're fighting for your struggle, you're still limiting yourself. And my message for you is today that you can be, do, and have anything you want. You can let go of all the suffering, of all the labels, and especially the victimhood connected with labels. And you have to start telling a better story about yourself. You have to change the script. You have to flip the script that is running your life currently. And what I also do, I exaggerate. I don't just tell a nice story, you know, like, things are going nicely, you know, I make good money and that's all okay. No, I started telling an exaggerative, like a story in a very exaggerated way, you know, like, don't just go for a nice life, go for a freaking unbelievable life. Go for a life that everyone out there is dreaming, with the millions, with the beautiful relationships, because it's not just about the money, it's really about how you're experiencing yourself. You don't just want money and feel dissatisfied and unhappy. Go for a you that feels like happiness and joy and love and bliss on a totally different level that you can even imagine right now. There is a life experience out there that you don't even have a clue that it's possible. It's almost like in games, you know, in computer games. When you're on this level, you have no idea what's happening on the next level. You have no fucking clue. Until you are on that next level, and you're just blown away because everything is like crazy fast and crazy better and crazy like different. And this is with your life as well, you know, like, you have no idea how good it can get until you make that jump into almost the next dimension. So stop looking at things from your current level and start seeing things as possible. That so much more happiness is possible for you, so much more wealth, so much more love, so much more depth of feeling. You know, most of us, we live in a very shallow life, you know, dopamine hit, you know, like, hey, the next best thing, like buy something, feel happy for a short moment. Most of us are not able to feel on a very deep level. What if that was possible for you? What if you could live an ecstatic life? Like almost other people, like being on drugs, you don't need drugs. You can create that in your life just through your way of looking at things, just through being. You know, like I did a lot of breathing exercises, holotropic breathing, like different styles of breathing. You know, there is so much out there. Whole courses. I did all of that, and you can enter like an orgasmic state, an ecstatic state without any sexual related to that. What if you could live your life like that? What if it wasn't just a peak experience? What if you could go and experience life like almost like in an orgasmic state? So for most people, this is almost unbelievable. You know, it's like, oh yeah, it's nice, it's kind of okay, it's kind of, but what if there was something so beyond that what you're experiencing right now? My God, I tell my good stuff always at the end of my videos. I have to alert people to really go to the end and watch it all. Like, what if that was possible? And this is actually what I'm working on with people, for example, in my expansion mastermind or with my one-to-one clients. What if your life could get so freaking epic that you had like no idea that this was possible for a human? And this is what we are going for. Not just for money, not just for cars and stuff like that. That's all nice. For the depth of experience, for the depth of happiness, of love, of joy that you can experience. And for that, you have to drop the old stories. For that, you of course have to drop the stories of like, I'm limited because I label myself as HSP, ADHD, whatever, you know? You have to drop the limits of these labels. You can keep the label if you want. Drop the limits. Drop the limits. And you can overcome any and everything. I can tell you. You can start walking again. If you can't at the moment. Just saying, like, these things are true. These things happen, but they come not from a place of I'm using my legs or, you know, like I'm walking around differently or I'm practicing my muscles. All comes from your mind. It all comes from consciousness. You are consciousness having a human experience. Start living from that place. Start fully living from that place. I am consciousness. I am source. Having an experience in a physical body. And I can change the experiences. I can focus on something else. I can put my awareness on something else and experience differently. This is your absolute power. This is you. This is your power. Start using it to your advantage and not against you all the time. That's my message for you today. If you want to be one of those who just live beyond any of these limits and these crazy limitations we impose on ourselves, join the mastermind, get some one-to-one coaching, or just be inspired by this video and just do it by yourself if you want to. I love community. I love, you know, being coached and doing things together with other people. This is why I'm always saying, like, get coached, get a coach, join a mastermind, go and get together with a group of people who already live on that level and live with these principles. Because it's just freaking amazing. It's like really going into like the next level in the game, so to say. If that is you as well, join one of my offers. It's all in the description. Send me an email, reach out to me if you have questions. And that's it for today. Thank you for all your likes, for subscribing to my channel, for all your beautiful comments. I'm having so much fun creating these videos for you. Thank you so much for being on the receiving end here. Until the next video.